And we are live. Hello, everybody. Lean over completely out of frame here. All right, change that a little bit. That's better. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Junk Shop Library channel. I am Junk Shop. I am your host, and we do improv Bible study. An approach to the King James Version of 1611 from a modern, humanist, secularist, what's my word? Perspective. I almost said persuasion. That's not quite right. Perspective. Your host is an atheist. Much of your fellow library patrons are also atheists, but we are by no means exclusive or cranky about it, except where the book is concerned. How is everybody doing tonight? Let's see who we got in the chat. We got Amiga Nuts, my friend and faithful shill. We've got my beautiful wife, Julie LaVoice, pointing out that we are up against some stiff competition tonight because it is Easter Sunday night and everybody is online right now. That's all right. I drew way more of a crowd than I was expecting. Amiga Nut says drugs are taking effect.
Well, that's good, I guess.
We were outside of Barstow at the edge of the desert when the drugs began to take hold.
Bats.
We can't stop here. This is bat country.
I'm sorry.
You never know what you're going to get when you tune in to the old Junk Shop Library channel.
I apologize. There's some things I can't be quiet about, and Hunter S. Thompson is one of those things. He's my man.
Understood.
Posthumously, unfortunately. But,
All right, let me see. We got a little bit of housekeeping to do before we launch into the good book. Firstly and foremostly, this channel is not for the children's. Not in the slightest. Because we talk about the Bible, which means we talk about every horrendous, heinous, ridiculous, hypocritical, awful, and just generally bad thing that the human race has ever put in a holy text. Jay from Nevermore Tavern pointed out to me last night that I do not, in fact, hold back where it comes to the Bible, and I 100% agree with him. It's a bad book, and I stand against it. All right, so not for children. If you're children, you should go somewhere else. If you're not children, welcome. Grab a drink, grab a seat, settle in. I have no clink. I have no clear picture of how long I'm going to run tonight. I just felt like streaming, and especially felt like streaming some atheist Bible study on Easter Sunday. And because old Junk Shop overslept this morning, didn't do it on Easter Sunday morning like I had originally intended upon doing. All right. I've been trying to go back through hither and thither and pick out some of my subscribers who I have not in the past thanked vocally. I need to do that now. I want to thank Logical Troglodyte for joining us recently. A
great name.
Great name and a pillar of the flat earth debunking community who I had heard of and knew by reputation for quite some time, but only quite recently began interacting with.
We live on an oblate spheroid.
We do indeed. I want to thank Doorknob Head for joining us. Ever the troublemaker. Mr. Doorknob Head now subscribes. And I want to thank someone who I'm only going to mention by first name, because otherwise it's going to sound like I'm tooting my own horn. But I want to thank Miss Erin for subscribing. I am flattered and tickled and honored beyond all reasonable belief. And last but not least, I want to thank username that ends with Joan, who just joined us a few days ago and who has been engaging me in a lively discussion in the comments section of the Genesis playlist the last few days. We've been having entirely too much fun.
Oh, honey, look at
Special.
what Brainbud said. I'm sorry.
Sorry, my
It's
chat
important.
runneth slow.
Someone is feeding alcohol to reptiles in a zoo.
Yay. I
That
see.
is not okay.
I just now saw a brain bug show up right in the middle of a fucking reptile zoo, and someone was giving booze to these guys. That is not okay.
No, it's not.
Don't get the lizards drunk. Good God in heaven. What is wrong with people?
Okay.
Welcome, Brainbug. Other than some idiot trying to get the lizards drunk, I hope you are well and uneventful. My best to you and to the hive. How's it kicking, says Brainbug. Well, life goes on, my friend. Life goes on. It's been a stressful few days here in the library, but I'm looking on the bright side of life and trying to stream to keep my mind off the circus that happens up here in the old brain pan. Let's see. Oh shit! It's a Thompson quote. I knew that.
You knew that.
I knew that.
No, you knew it at the time.
I'm sorry. I took that literal for a second. I thought I couldn't figure out what in the world was.
Oh, I took it literally too.
I feel so smart now. Okay. No, you're right. Yeah, with the.
Oh my gosh.
The floor. Okay.
Okay. No.
All right.
I studied Thompson extensively.
I'm on board now, and I feel smart. All right.
They might take back my MFA. I'm sorry.
No, they won't.
I'll be quiet now.
It's all right. All righty. I see. I'm sorry if I greet anybody late. The chat on my StreamYard is ludicrous behind, and I don't dare try to swap out and bounce between screens. I see Miss Angie coming in. Hello, Miss Angie. How are you doing tonight? How's the whole passel of y'all? I saw you got spared by the storm. I hope you've been spared by the metaphysical as well as the literal storms of late. Somebody tell me about the golf shoes. Yep, I set brain bug off. It's going to be Quotapalooza in the chat tonight, and I am here for it.
It's Junk Shop After Dark, everybody. We're all drinking.
Yep. Alrighty. Let's see. I got to do a couple of quick shameless self-plugs before we launch into the good book. I think I already said that once, but I said it again, and now I'm actually going to do it. Those of you not familiar with Jay over at the Nevermore Tavern channel need to get familiar with him. He is a fantastic content creator. He covers everything from interviews with atheists to documentary-style stuff about serial killers. And last night, he hosted yours truly on a series he calls The Pool Room, where we sit and chat and get to know each other. And I had an absolute blast, and we just kind of generally all hung out and had fun. I would encourage you to go over to the Nevermore Tavern, like What the Raven Says, and like Where You Drink, and check out that interview and some other of his stuff while you're over there. It was a great time. And now, I must do possibly the most important thing. I got to change my banner and give a huge, huge thank you and shout out to the one and the only Paul Camish, my patron extraordinaire, who has helped me in all manner of ways, both Patreon related and otherwise of late. He helped me figure out what was wrong with my Discord server and get my voice chat set up in the Discord server. Helped me figure out some technological stuff and has given me some great ideas for how to do different and interesting stuff with the channel in the future, especially at times when I get a little bored of the old KJV and feel the need to branch out a little, which normally, as y'all may have noticed, leads to me just lapsing and not producing any content for a few weeks or a few months. Alrighty. Check the chat over here and see what's going on. We got Angie. Good. All right. I believe I've greeted everybody. If I hadn't greeted you, shout me out in chat and tell me I'm falling down on my job as host.
You're not.
Because I love the community. As they all know by now, that's one of my favorite things around here. Is just the community and the adopted family that we're all building with each other. And I want to encourage that to grow and to thrive on my channel as well as on others. All right. Well, I guess at this point, it's time to do what I know you're all here for and tear into some Holy Writ here on this Sunday that has absolutely nothing remarkable about it. Mark Caesar in the chat. I haven't greeted Mark Caesar because he's just arrived. Welcome. I don't know how long you've been with us. I have seen your name around the interwebs, but I don't
He's lovely.
think I have interacted with you personally.
I have. He's awesome.
I am assured that you are awesome. Welcome, my friend. Grab a seat, grab a drink, settle in. And everybody sends you good thoughts and your well wishes to our friend of ours and a friend of the channel's Miss Linda, who's going through a hard time right now. We turn now to the 13th chapter.
Angie was Kumbaya, Junk Shop, Kumbaya.
Oh, dearie.
Sorry, I just lost it. Ooh, I'm gonna try. I promise I'm gonna try.
Yeah, we've exchanged a few lines here and there. That was the impression under which I was laboring. So thank you. May God have mercy on your soul. Yes. All right. Scripture time. Chapter 13, book of 2 Samuel. I have no earthly idea what we're getting ourselves into. For that matter, I don't know where my glasses are, so I'm going to be holding this at an awkward angle.
Oh, hang on, I do. They're right here.
And it's at the wrong end of the couch. That's why I didn't know where they were.
It's the magic hands that comes out of nowhere.
Thank you, thing. And it came to pass after this, that Absalom, the son of David, had a fair sister, whose name was Tamar, and Amnon, the son of David, loved her. And Amnon was so vexed that he fell sick for his sister Tamar, for she was a virgin, and Amnon thought it hard for him to do anything to her. Oh, this is starting out well, isn't it? But Amnon had a friend whose name was Jonadab, the son of Shimei, David's brother. And Jonadab was a very subtle man. And he said unto him, Why art thou, being the king's son, lean from day to day? Wilt thou not tell me? And Amnon said unto him, I love Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister. And Jonadab said unto him, Lay thee down on thy bed, and make thyself sick. And when thy father cometh to see thee, say to him, I pray thee, Let my sister Tamar come, and give me meat, and dress the meat in my sight, that I may see it, and eat it at her hand. So Amnon lay down, and made himself sick. And when the king was come to see him, Amnon said unto the king, I pray thee, let Tamar my sister come, and make me a couple of cakes in my sight, that I may eat at her hand. Then David sent home to Tamar, saying, Go now to thy brother Amnon's house, and dress him meat. So Tamar went to her brother Amnon's house, and he was laid down. And she took flour, and kneaded it, and made cakes in his sight, and did bake the cakes. And she took a pan, and poured them out before him, but he refused to eat. And Amnon said, Have out all men from me. And they went out, every man from him. And Amnon said unto Tamar, Bring the meat into the chamber, that I may eat of thine hand. And Tamar took the cakes which she had made, and brought them into the chamber to Amnon her brother. And when she had brought them unto him to eat, he took hold of her, and said unto her, Come lie with me, my sister. And she answered him, Nay, my brother, do not force me, for no such thing ought to be done in Israel. Do not thou this folly. And I, whither shall I cause my shame to go? And as for thee, thou shalt be as one of the fools in Israel. Now therefore, I pray thee, speak unto the king, for he will not withhold me from thee. Howbeit he would not hearken unto her voice, but, being stronger than she, forced her, and lay with her.
Ew.
And then Amnon hated her exceedingly, so that the hatred wherewith he hated her was greater than the love wherewith he had loved her. And Amnon said unto her, Arise, be gone. And she said unto him, There is no cause. This evil in sending me away is greater than the other that thou didst unto me. But he would not hearken unto her. Then he called his servant that ministered unto him, and said, Put now this woman out from me, and bolt the door after her. And she had a garment of divers colors upon her, for with such robes were the king's daughters that were virgins apparelled. Then his servant brought her out, and bolted the door after her. And Tamar put ashes on her head, and rent her garment of divers colors that was on her, and laid her hand on her head, and went on crying. And Absalom her brother said unto her, Hath Amnon thy brother been with thee? But hold now thy peace, my sister, he is thy brother, regard not this thing. So Tamar remained desolate in her brother Absalom's house. But when King David heard of all these things, he was very wroth. And Absalom spake unto his brother Amnon neither good nor bad, for Absalom hated Amnon, because he had forced his sister Tamar. And it came to pass, after 2 full years, that Absalom had sheep shearers in Baal Hazor, which is beside Ephraim. And Absalom invited all the king's sons. And Absalom said to the king, and said, Behold now, thy servant hath sheep shearers. Let the king, I beseech thee, and his servants go with thy servant. And the king said to Absalom, Nay, my son, let us not all now go, lest we be chargeable unto thee. And he pressed him, howbeit he would not go, but blessed him. Then said Absalom, If not, I pray thee, let my brother Amnon go with us. And the king said unto him, Why should he go with thee? But Absalom pressed him, that he let Amnon and all the king's sons go with him. Now Absalom had commanded his servants, saying, Mark ye now, when Amnon's heart is merry with wine, And when I say unto you, Smite Amnon, then kill him. Fear not. Have I not commanded you? Be courageous and be valiant. And the servants of Absalom did unto Amnon as Absalom had commanded. Then all the king's sons arose, and every man gat him up upon his mule, and fled. And it came to pass, while they were in the way, that tidings came to David, saying, Absalom hath slain all the king's sons, and there is not one of them left. And then the king arose, and tare his garments, and lay on the earth, and all his servants stood by with their clothes rent. And Jonadab, the son of Shimei, David's brother, answered and said, Let not my lord suppose that they have slain all the young men of the king's sons, for Amnon only is dead. For by the appointment of Absalom this hath been determined from the day that he forced his sister Tamar. Now therefore let not my lord the king take the thing to his heart, to think that all the king's sons are dead, for Amnon only is dead. But Absalom fled. And the young man that kept the watch lifted up his eyes, and looked, and behold, there came much people by the way of the hillside behind him. And Jonadab said unto the king, Behold, the king's sons come. As thy servant said, so it is. And it came to pass, as soon as he had made an end of speaking, that, behold, the king's sons came, and lifted up their voice, and wept. And the king also, and all his servants, wept very sore. But Absalom fled, and went to Talmai, the son of Almihud, the king of Geshur. And David mourned for his son every day. So Absalom fled, and went to Geshur, and was there 3 years. But the soul of King David longed to go forth unto Absalom, for he was comforted concerning Amnon, seeing he was dead. And there we have the 13th chapter of the book of 2 Samuel. Revenge is a dish best served cold. Let's go over and see what's happening in the people. Welcome, everybody. Lord have mercy. All right, let's see. We got... Mark Caesar points out, if you've lost something, chances are you'll find it in the couch cushions. Have you been in my house?
So true.
Mr. Shadow Kitty. We've got Stuttering Chris. Welcome, welcome. We've got Wonder Lady Faye. Welcome, everybody. So good to see all of y'all here on this completely unremarkable Sunday evening. All right, let's see. Julie Lavoie says, I think subtle here means cunning. Does anyone know for sure? Yeah, this is the old S-U-B-T-I-L, subtle, which, if memory serves, is like cunning, crafty, little bit up to no good, like the serpent who's more subtle than any living thing the Lord had made. This kind of... So we've got ourselves another Grima worm tongue, is what we've got here. Yeah, Mark Caesar says, I love my brother's sister. Creepy much? Yeah, just a little, and it got worse.
Oh, he was the first one to point that out.
Stuttering Chris says, Happy Easter, you filthy heathens, and right back at ya. Let's see. Yeah, Aminganut says, what the fuck did he say? Oh my, what the? These characters are beyond immoral, says my man Aminganut. Yes, yes they are. Creep much, says Mark Caesar. Indeed. Wonder Lady's not creeping, she's listening. There is an important differentiation to be made there. Amiga Nuts said, yeah, Amiga Nuts just summed up so much of 2 Samuel right here. Murder, death, kill! Murder, death, kill! Stuttering Chris says something that I assume to be an exclamation of disgust and frustration at this holiest of texts, and I agree with him wholeheartedly. No one, as Amiga Nut says, no wonder SJ and the others think it's okay to kill babies under certain circumstances. Yes, because if you want justifications for any kind of horrendous act, you can always find it in the Big Book of War Crimes and Outdated Regulations. JunkshopLibrary says, I read well, and my kids would love me reading to them. Well, I take that compliment in the spirit in which it was intended. I have no children and never shall. I have, however, a myriad of nieces and nephews. Paul Lev 11 says, it sounds like the Book of Mormon with all the it came to passes. Yeah, there's a lot of comings to pass, isn't there? All right. Do I have any mods in the chat?
Yep.
Okay. I want you to go in, hit the button, and ban Duncan Atheism.
Okay.
I will not tolerate his presence on my channel.
Okay. Remove. Yeah.
If you've got a more extreme option, then use it.
Okay.
Use whatever the harshest option in your toolbox
Hide user
is.
on the channel. I can do that.
Yes.
Yeah. And I can. Yeah. I got it. I got you.
All right.
Harassment or bullying. I can ban him under that.
Never occurred to me he'd be back after.
I just reported his ass
Okay.
for harassment and bullying.
Never occurred to me he would be back after I started ignoring him last time, and after I hard banned him from the Discord. I brought down the big orange hammer on him, the one person I've ever hard banned from the Discord. I will not engage with that individual.
Yeah, I don't like banning people, but sometimes it's necessary. He is not a pleasant person.
I don't. What is Ocean's thing? No frith with bigots. I don't put up with homophobia, transphobia, or any of that, and he does entirely too much of it. So, get out of here, piece of crap. Did I borrow Surus's hammer? Yeah. Well, I used the junk shop equivalent. I got jokes. And she says, thank you, I can't stand when folks give him a platform for his BS. Yeah. I always sort of found him amusing as in the same way that any arrogant presuppositionalist tickles my slightly masochistic funny bone. But I've talked before about why I don't deal with him anymore. So, bye, Felicia. Okay, so I guess we know why out of all the weird biblical names anybody ever gets named, we never see any Amnons or any Jonadabs. Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, let's face it, I say at the beginning of the streams that this is not safe for children, but god damn. I have vague memories of this story from back in the day, but I didn't remember some of the details. I didn't remember the weird Iago character, and I didn't remember Tamar's remarkably sophisticated attempt to salvage her honor after the fact. In verse, let's see. Doody doody doo doo doo. Hang on, I just saw it. Verse 13. Where she says, "Therefore I pray thee, speak unto the king, for he will not withhold me from thee." She says, "Look, this is not a righteous union. But if you're so bound and determined to have me, just talk to Dad. David's the king of Israel. He can sanction this, and we can get married if you're so absolutely fucking determined to." But he's not having it. And so, in good Old Testament tradition, he rapes her. And then despiseth her, and not only throws her out of the room, but has the unbridled douchebaggery to have his servant, who let's assume was waiting in the corridor outside, bar the door behind her. And she is justifiably and understandably upset. Now, when her big brother Absalom discovers that she's all upset, having rent her "I am a virgin" signifying garment and put ashes on her head, and having bewailed and everything else that she's beyond entitled to do at this point, having been raped by her half-brother, big brother Absalom comes to her and finds out why. And then big brother Absalom bides his time for 2 fucking years. Absalom is a reservoir of patience that most of the rest of us can only aspire to. And come sheep shearing time, in the spring of the year, the time when kings go out to war, he goes to his daddy David and says, "Let's go out for the sheep shearing festival." And David doesn't wanna. So he says, "All right. Send my brother Amnon out to the sheep shearing festival." And David says, "Okay, I don't see anything wrong with that." So they go out to the sheep shearing festival, and they get wasted at the sheep shearing festival. One might even say they got shit-faced at the sheep shearing festival. And Absalom has his servants murder his brother, which is one of the few instances of fratricide in the Bible I have no difficulty whatsoever standing in support of. Rainbug's got some hive business to attend to and might return. Well, my best to the hive, my friend, and if you return, I look forward to seeing you. Wonder Lady says, "So family friendly." Christopher says, "Forget Joel Osteen." That's, yeah. I saw that tweet. And if y'all aren't following Christopher on Twitter, you don't know what you're missing. This is the service I want to go to. Yeah. And if they were in, Mark Caesar says, and if they were in New Zealand, it would have been the Sheep Shagging Festival. Imagine getting shit-faced at the sheep-shagging shearing festival. No, Amiga Nuts, I'm not going to try to say it 10 times fast. I'm already pushing my luck as it is. All right. Well, then comes the yakety sax portion of the story. Because if there was one thing the first quite a few books of the Bible lacked in to an amazing degree, it was any kind of sense of humor. But come the books of Samuel, we have discovered a tendency of the scripture writer in this section to really go for broke, where the weird borderline slapstick yakety sax style of storytelling goes. So, Absalom has his brother murdered and then runs away. And all of his brothers and their associates also run away, but the other direction. And word gets back to King David that there's nobody left at the sheep shearing festival where everybody was shit-faced. And David, in the histrionic fashion we have come to expect of the kings of Israel, loses his goddamn mind and assumes that every single one of his children have been massacred by some unknown force, or possibly by a wrathful God due to something he fucked up about and wasn't bothered to be told. And rends his hair and puts ashes on his head and yada da 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 da. And then Mr. Grima Wormtongue comes out of the woodwork for the second time in this chapter, for the second time in the 2 years this chapter spans, comes up to him and says, "Hey, dummy! It's just Amnon. Absalom killed him. All the rest of it, look, right over there. Here they come." And David says, "Oh, check that out. They're all alive after all. Thanks, Grima." And then promptly gets over Amnon's death. Because remember, he knew about the whole sister fucking thing the whole time. Did you catch that? Mr. David didn't do anything about it. Anointed of the Lord that he is. Verse 21. When King David heard of all these things, he was very wroth. Just apparently not wroth enough to actually fucking do anything about it. You know, I don't know most of y'all's backgrounds. If y'all were raised in some form of church, hit 1 in the chat. Insert reference with no icon. Absolutely not a sock account. Wants to know why I banned Darth Dawkins. If you are inquiring in good faith, I would encourage you to go watch his recent appearance on the Modern Day Debate channel, where he exposed himself as a virulent homophobe and transphobe, neither of which do we stand for here in the library. This is my little corner of the internet, and I don't have to put up with it, and I won't put up with it. If you're just another one of Darth's sock accounts, then go fuck yourself and leave me alone.
I'll keep an eye on it.
All right.
Are you afraid? No.
We got the sock army here, I think. It's all right. I'm not stressed about it.
You want to say why you're not afraid to debate our topic?
No, because I'm not going to bother with it. He's a presup and an idiot and a bigot.
And a twat waffle, according to Mr. Shadow Kitty.
Shadow Kitty! Rock on, Shadow Kitty.
Honest interlocutor? More like brainless idiot. Oh, I love
Oh, the
Bible.
wholesome Bible, says Wonder Lady. Yeah, no kidding. All right, let's see. We got ones from Julie. We got ones from Angie and Paul and Mark Caesar. We got a 2 from Stuttering Chris. Okay. Let's see. Got. Wow, sorry. I'm trying to keep up. The chat started moving fast. All right. So we've got a fair number of people in the chat who were in fact raised in various forms of church to some extent or other. So unless you were raised with a particularly deep dive into stories like the one we just suffered through, I'm going to go out on a limb and say you were probably like me, raised with kind of a high opinion of David, king of Israel, ancestor of Jesus, king of the Jews and savior of the world. Because, you know, the whole sins of the father thing goes both ways. Wonder Lady was not raised in church. I sometimes envy people who were not. On the other hand, I don't know what I'd be doing if I didn't have the background I did. So, you know. Wow, both of my hands are not in frame, so I can't do that just... There we go. Let's see. Angie was giving Gramps a haircut. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to get a haircut like a week before the whole virus thing went down, so I should be good for a little while. If this goes on, you know, into July like we've been led to believe it may, we're either going to have Julie practicing her haircutting skills, or me buying a pair of clippers, or just going straight down to the scalp like I used to wear it. I used to be rocking that pinhead look. All right, let's see. See what's happening in the chat that's worth engaging with. Fiddle-dee-dee, fiddle-dee-dee, the fly has married the bumblebee. We got somebody trying to pick an objective morality fight. I'm not going there. That is not my bag.
No.
Morality is not really the hill I fight or die on. It's not really a matter of interest to me. You need to talk to Matt Dillahunty or to Godless Engineer, if that's what you're interested in talking about. That's not really not really what I do here. All right. I think we've kind of beaten the dead horse that is that chapter as far as it's worth beating. It's just more gross stuff. I'm getting tired of how rapey this fucking book is. I'm afraid to open the next chapter, but I know I gotta.
I just gave scrambled eggs a warning.
Thank you.
Hey, yeah.
All right. Hey, Zabixon. Hey, atheist brother. If that was an honest greeting, I take it honestly. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Angie. This is not a debate channel. Sorry, guys. This is a one-man show, and if I'm being honest, kind of a one-trick pony. All right. Let's see. We just killed Samuel 13. Hide banner, delete banner. Yes, checkbox. Now we go into 14. It was. If you scan back up through the chat, my friend, I think you'll see why I was why I was a little why I phrased that the way I did. All right. Well, welcome. All righty. We turn now to the 14th book of 2 Samuel, where hopefully something less blicky happens. Because, my God, I thought we'd hit the blick limit on this fucking book, but sister rape is about as blicky as it gets. God damn. Y'all excuse me one moment while I fortify myself.
That's fair.
The fruit of the vine. Thank you, my darling.
You're welcome.
All right. Chapter 14. I'm just idly curious how long is... Wow, 2 Samuel's not that long. We're not going to finish it tonight, but it's not anywhere near the longest book we've had. All right. Now Joab, the son of Zeruiah, perceived that the king's heart was toward Absalom. And Joab sent to Tekoa, and fetched thence a wise woman. Fetched thence a wise woman, and said unto her, I pray thee, feign thyself to be a mourner, and put on now mourning apparel, and anoint not thyself with oil, but be as a woman that had a long time mourned for the dead. This didn't ring any bells at all. And come to the king, and speak on this manner unto him. So Joab put the words in her mouth. And when the woman of Tekoa spake to the king, she fell on her face to the ground, and did obeisance, and said, Help, O king! And the king said unto her, What aileth thee? And she answered, I am indeed a widow woman, and mine husband is dead. And thy handmaid had 2 sons, and they 2 strove together in the field, and there was none to part them, but the one smote the other, and slew him. And behold, the whole family is risen against thine handmaid. They said, Deliver him that smote his brother, that we may kill him for the life of his brother whom he slew, and we will destroy the heir also. And so they shall quench my coal which is left, and shall not leave to my husband neither name nor remainder upon the earth. And the king said unto the woman, Go to thine house, and I will give charge concerning thee. And the woman of Tekoa said unto the king, My lord, O king, the iniquity be on me and on my father's house, and the king and his throne be guiltless. And the king said, Whosoever saith aught unto thee, bring him to me, and he shall not touch thee any more. Then said she, I pray thee, let the king remember the Lord thy God, that thou wouldest not suffer the revengers of blood to destroy any more, lest they destroy my son. And he said, As the Lord liveth, there shall not one hair of thy son fall to the earth. Then the woman said, Let thine handmaid, I pray thee, speak one word unto my lord the king. And he said, Say on. And the woman said, Wherefore then hast thou thought such a thing against the people of God? For the king doth speak this thing as one which is faulty, in that the king doth not fetch home again his banished. For we must needs die, and are as water spilt on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again. Neither doth God respect any person, yet doth he devise means that his banished be not expelled from him. Now, therefore, that I am come to speak of this thing unto my lord the king, it is because the people have made me afraid. Thy handmaid said, I will now speak unto the king. It may be that the king will perform the request of his handmaid. For the king will hear to deliver his handmaid out of the hand of the man that would destroy me and my son together out of the inheritance of God. Then thine handmaid said, The word of my lord the king shall now be comfortable. For as an angel of God, so is my lord the king to discern good and bad. Therefore the Lord thy God will be with thee. Then the king answered and said unto the woman, Hide not from me, I pray thee, the thing that I shall ask thee. And the woman said, Let my lord the king now speak. And the king said, Is not the hand of Joab with thee in all this? And the woman answered and said, As thy soul liveth, my lord king, none can turn to the right hand or to the left from aught that my lord king hath spoken. For thy servant Joab, he bade me, and put all these words in the mouth of thine handmaid. To fetch about this form of speech hath thy servant Joab done this thing. And my lord is wise, according to the wisdom of an angel of God, to know all things that are in the earth. And the king said unto Joab, Behold now, I have done this thing. Go therefore, and bring the young man Absalom again. And Joab fell to the ground on his face, and bowed himself, and thanked the king. And Joab said, Today thy servant knoweth that I have found grace in thy sight, my lord, O king, in that the king hath fulfilled the request of his servant. So Joab arose and went to Geshur, and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. And the king said, Let him turn to his own house, and let him not see my face. So Absalom returned to his own house, and saw not the king's face. But in all Israel there was none to be so much praised as Absalom for his beauty. From the sole of his foot even to the crown of his head there was no blemish in him. And when he polled his head, for it was at every year's end that he polled it, because the hair was heavy on him, therefore he polled it. He weighed the hair of his head at 200 shekels after the king's weight. And unto Absalom there were born 3 sons and 1 daughter, whose name was Tamar. Dear, she was a woman of a fair countenance. So Absalom dwelt 2 full years in Jerusalem, and saw not the king's face. Therefore Absalom sent for Joab to have him sent to the king, but he would not come to him. And when he sent again a second time, he would not come. Therefore he said unto his servants, See, Joab's field is near mine, and he hath barley. There, go and set it on fire. And Absalom's servants set the field on fire. Then Joab arose, and came to Absalom unto his house, and said unto him, Wherefore have thy servants set my field on fire? And Absalom answered Joab, Behold, I sent unto thee, saying, Come hither, that I may send thee to the king, to say, Wherefore am I come from Geshur? It had been good for me to have been there still. Now therefore let me see the king's face, and if there be any iniquity in me, let him kill me. So Joab came to the king, and told him. And when he had called for Absalom, he came to the king, and bowed himself on his face to the ground before the king, and the king kissed Absalom. And there we have the 14th chapter of the book of 2 Samuel. God, family is hard.
Yeah, so's this. I had to boot scrambled eggs.
Oh, good gravy. All right, let me scan back up through the chat, see what's going on here, because I've seen it blur past here. Let's see here. Okay.
Make sure I didn't misrepresent you.
Morals. Popcorn smells so good. Yes, Angie, you are right as always. Paul says the Bible may be a lot of things, but moral ain't one of them. You are true speaker, sir. I'm sorry, my friend. I'm afraid I'm butchering your name. Z. I'm going to call you Z until you tell me what you would prefer to be called. I'm so sorry. Sorry. The Bible does have a lot of weird stuff, such as happy are those who dash little kids' heads against rocks. Yeah, you're completely right. Meganut says, yes, oozes immorality like ectoplasm. Scrambled eggs, nobody cares. Mr. Shadow Kitty says, Mrs. Kitty concurs that Junk Shop should do audiobooks. Y'all, I'm so flattered. I hate my voice so much, but so many of y'all have said such nice things about my voice the last few days.
Jason M?
So lovely.
No, he's not. Darth Dawkins doesn't debate, he just yells at people.
Um,
Sorry.
let's see. The Bible. Paul says the Bible goes back and forth from horribly horrible to insanely funny, with a lot of boring in between. Yes, that may that may be the best analysis, the best and most succinct analysis of the Bible I have ever heard. Back and forth from horribly horrible to insanely funny, with a lot of boring in between. That's perfect. Scrambled egg. Yeah, not a debate channel.
Yeah, I've hidden him.
Yeah, thank you. Bina Berry says, does God exist? I say no. Let's see. Whoop, so fast. Oh, I love how fast the chat is going these days, but I have to keep up with it. Not having it. Yeah, thank you, Julie. Stuttering Chris says, I can't read. Oh, I'm sorry, my friend. I did not know that.
Who's Bina? I haven't seen that person.
Jason M., I don't know where you think you heard that, but you heard wrong. Whoever told you that was mistaken, or you misheard. I do not debate. This is an ego project and a community, and I speak my mind and encourage others to also, except for the opinions that I will not tolerate. There are other places for opinions that are not tolerated here. Oh, you heard it on Discord, so of course it must be true. I'm sorry, my friend. That is not accurate. That's all there is to it. Alrighty. Let me switch over my banners here. I'm going to put up my self-shilling one while I do some editing. I did not think this was going to go as longer as well as it did, so I did not have enough banners set up. Second simulon. Do, 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 do. I am so happy to have y'all here, my friends. You just don't even know. Alrighty, let us see. Alright. So it seems Mr. David has in fact learned a little something over the course of the last few chapters and few years. Because if you remember, the last time that somebody came to Mr. David and said, here is a story that I wish to tell you.
Question, no.
Jason, I thank you, but no. No one has ever succeeded in getting DD off his script except for Shannon Q. And there's orders of magnitude and many, many leagues between me and Shannon. That's a peace through superior firepower situation, and I, among other things, don't have the patience to deal with that man. And among other things, life is short, and I just don't wanna. So there. Mr. Shadow Kitty says the Bible has noble poetry in it. This is very true. I told Jay, and I'm going to read the rest of your thing in 1 second. I just have to throw up an asterisk. I told Jay on Nevermore Tavern last night that one of the things I'm really not looking forward to in the Bible, as we work our way through, is getting to Psalms, because I really like the poetry of Psalms, and trying to go through it with a critical eye and tear into it, and do myself and the channel and my followers justice by it. I think it's going to be challenging. So, yeah, not really looking forward to it. It does have noble poetry in it, and some clever fables, also very true. I'm just going to put this up on screen because the chat's moving.
Yeah, do it.
Sorry, I just keep having to scroll up. And some blood-drenched history. Yes. And some good morals.
Ooh,
Okay. And a wealth of obscenity and upwards of 1,000 lies, and that's a quote from Mark Twain. Oh, thank you for that. Oh, my goodness. I did not recognize the quote. That's fantastic. Oh, Christopher, I'm about to make a confession. Christopher says junk shop reading the Bible reminds me of Reverend, I assume Reverend, sorry, Lovejoy from The Simpsons. I completely misread that. I thought that said The Sopranos, and I was going to have to admit that I've never seen a single episode of The Sopranos. I've seen a handful of episodes of The Simpsons. I'm not familiar with Mr. Lovejoy.
He had a nice voice.
I had a nice voice.
Very
Okay.
soft and soothing.
Okay.
Voice. He made all the
Ah,
bad shit
yes.
sound nice.
Yes, Angie, she did indeed. With a nice little bow.
I'm sorry, I just read that.
All right, let me think. What is there anything else to drag out of that chapter? I mean, that the last time David came up against somebody telling him an obviously true story and obviously fake trappings, it was Nathan coming to tell him, there once was a man, a very rich man, and he stole the poor man's rubber ducky. But this time, he kind of saw through it, and not only saw that it was obviously halfway between a metaphor and a parable and a gossip, but that it was actually, he was able to divine which one of his folks was behind it. Let's see here. I'm kind of feeling down. This is like, I don't know, this bad and incompetent side of King David. It's kind of like when some beloved sitcom star gets arrested for breaking and entering while high as a fucking kite. It's just you feel like something that was near and dear to you once upon a time has had a tiny little rug yanked out from under it. And even as long as I've been out of all this, I don't remember the character David being this way. It's a rough and ragged fall. It's not, he's no Londo Malari, but this is, watching his decline is not fun. Anybody else getting that, or do I just invest too heavily in what I read? How say ye in the chat? Are y'all having fun? I'm having a blast. Really and truly, this is a fun I can't remember the last time I turned and I had this much fun of an Easter. God. Paul says God has a real hard time hiring competent help. His heroes all seem to be doddering idiots. You ain't wrong. Yeah. Thank you, Julie. I've only got a handful of mods, but they are people I trust 100% with their mod power. So do do as ye wilt shall be the whole of the law. Wow, I just blew that right into my microphone, didn't I? Sorry about that, y'all. Let's see here. What do you think? Chapter 15? Doddering idiots and yeah, well, there's that. Um, I'm not. Yes, I agree. I'm not gonna say that word out loud because I don't want to draw the ire of the algorithm. But yes, you are correct. There's quite a bit of that. Brainbug has returned. He's got the swarm nestled into their cocoons. Good, good. Welcome back, my friend. You got the sense of this that this was going to be one of those streams, didn't you? That it was just going to keep on going for a bit. Glad to have you back. Alrighty, let's see. I've still got my Self-Shill crawler up. Okay, well that's good. That's good because that transitions neatly into the next one down in the list. I got to shout out regularly to my patron. Paul has been an amazing help to me in so many ways. If anybody ever joins me on the Discord server, the fact that that works as well as it does is due to two people and two people only, and one of them is not me, and neither of them is me. That's Paul, my fantastic patron, and Witch from over at What the Craft, which is not as active a channel as it once was, but they are a known and valued asset in several different slightly overlapping communities. All right, which takes us down to the next banner in the row, 2 Samuel chapter 15. Yeah, Brainbug missed some murder, death, kills. Yes, he did. But it's the Bible. What else is new? Wonder Lady says the Bible, family friendly but advertising unfriendly. Yeah, you ain't wrong. Yeah. Of course, I don't have to worry about the demonetization gremlins at this point, but I don't want to get any kind of weird community strikes, and I know that the algorithm hears all and sees all. Don't mean I'm going to stop cussing. All right, chapter 15. Let's see what fresh hell awaits us in the big book of war crimes and outdated regulations. Where's my damn glasses? There they are, right in front of my fucking face. No wonder I couldn't find them. And it came to pass after this that Absalom prepared him horses and chariots and horses, and 50 men to run before him. And Absalom rose up early, and stood beside the way of the gate. And it was so, that when any man that had a controversy came to the king for judgment, then Absalom called unto him, and said, Of what city art thou? And he said, Thy city is of one. servant, rather, I beg your pardon, and he said, Thy servant is of one of the tribe of Israel. And Absalom said unto him, See, thy matters are good and right, but there is no man deputed of the king to hear thee. Absalom said moreover, Oh, that I were made judge in the land, that every man which hath any suit or cause might come unto me, and I would do him justice. And it was so, that when any man came nigh to him to do him obeisance, he put forth his hand, and took him, and kissed him. And on this manner did Absalom to all Israel that came to the king for judgment. So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. And it came to pass after 40 years that Absalom said unto the king, I pray thee, let me go and pay my vow, which I have vowed unto the Lord in Hebron. For thy servant vowed a vow while I abode in Geshur in Syria, saying, If the Lord shall bring me again indeed to Jerusalem, then I will serve the Lord. And the king said unto him, Go in peace. So he arose and went to Hebron. But Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, As soon as ye hear the sound of the trumpet, then ye shall say, Absalom reigneth in Hebron. And with Absalom went 200 men out of Jerusalem that were called, and they went in their simplicity, and they knew not anything. And Absalom sent for Ahithophel the Gilonite, David's counselor, from his city, even from Gilo, while he offered sacrifices. And the conspiracy was strong, for the people increased continually with Absalom. And there came a messenger to David, saying, The hearts of the men of Israel are after Absalom. And David said unto all his servants that were with him at Jerusalem, Arise, and let us flee, for we shall not escape from Absalom. Make speed to depart, lest he overtake us suddenly, and bring evil upon us, and smite the city with the edge of the sword. And the king's servants said unto the king, Behold, thy servants are ready to do whatsoever my lord the king shall appoint. And the king went forth, and all his household after him. And the king left 10 women which were concubines to keep the house. And the king went forth, and all the people after him, and tarried in a place that was far off. And all his servants passed on beside him, and all the Kerethites, and all the Pelethites, and all the Gittites, 600 men which came after him from Gath, passed on before the king. Then said the king to Ittai the Gittite, Wherefore goest thou also with us? Return to thy place, and abide with the king, for thou art a stranger, and also an exile. Whereas thou camest but yesterday, should I this day make thee go up and down with us? Seeing I go whither I may, return thou, and take back thy brethren. Mercy and truth be with thee. And Ittai answered the king, and said, As the Lord liveth, and as my lord the king liveth, surely in what place my lord the king shall be, whether in death or life, even there also will thy servant be. And David said to Ittai, Go and pass over. And Ittai the Gittite passed over, and all his men, and all the little ones that were with him. And all the country wept with a loud voice, and all the people passed over. The king also himself passed over the brook Kidron, and all the people passed over, toward the way of the wilderness. And lo, Zadok also, and all the Levites were with him, bearing the ark of the covenant of God. And they set down the ark of God, and Abiathar went up, until all the people had done passing out of the city. And the king said unto Zadok, Carry back the ark of God into the city. If I shall find favor in the eyes of the Lord, he will bring me again, and shew me both it and his habitation. But if he thus say, I have no delight in thee, behold, here am I, let him do to me as seemeth good unto him. The king said also unto Zadok the priest, Art thou not a seer? Return into the city in peace, and your 2 sons with you, Ahimaaz thy son, and Jonathan the son of Abiathar. See, I will tarry in the plain of the wilderness, until there come word from you to certify me. Zadok, therefore, and Abiathar carried the ark of God again to Jerusalem, and they tarried there. And David went up by the ascent of Mount Olivet, and wept as he went up, and had his head covered, And he went barefoot, and all the people that was with him covered every man his head, and they went up, weeping as they went up. And one told David, saying, Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom. And David said, O Lord, I pray thee, turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness. And it came to pass that when David was come to the top of the mount, where he worshipped God, behold, Hushai the Archite came to meet him, with his coat rent, and the earth upon his head. Unto whom David said, If thou passest on with me, then thou shalt be a burden unto me. But if thou return to the city, and say unto Absalom, I will be thy servant, O king, as I have been thy father's servant hitherto, so will I now also be thy servant. Then mayest thou for me defeat the counsel of Ahithophel. And hast thou not there with thee Zadok and Abiathar the priests? Therefore it shall be, that what things soever thou shalt hear out of the king's house, thou shalt tell it to Zadok and Abiathar the priests. Behold, they have there with them their two sons, Ahimaaz Zadok's son, and Jonathan Abiathar's son, and by them ye shall send unto me everything that ye can hear. So Hushai, David's friend, came into the city, and Absalom came into Jerusalem. And there we have the 15th chapter of 2 Samuel. Let me check up. Let me check up with the chat and see what goeth on. Zoom zoom. Fast moving chat. I love it. God help me. I do love it so. Wonder Lady says, just call the book murder porn. Yeah, no shit. I feel like I missed something. I'm not going to read that out loud, Wonder Lady. Ooh, the judgment was so harsh. Julie says, how did Absalom steal the hearts of the men of Israel? I tried, oh my. I tried so hard to find a Jewish boyfriend in college. Oh yes, I mean that says, yes, we've got espionage now.
Yes, we do.
Angie's got the munchies. Stuttering Chris wants a boyfriend. Well,
I think there was a comment on what I said.
Angie is satisfying the munchies. Stuttering Chris points out that there is speculation that Moses stuttered. Yes, because of the there's a verse back when God first calls him where it says he's slow of speech and halting of tongue, and he protests and says, God, don't send me to Pharaoh. I don't talk good enough to argue with Pharaoh. And he goes on and on about it for so long that eventually God says, you know what? Your brother Aaron talks real good, and he's got a magic stick. So take him. Shut your fool face and do what I tell you. Which is pretty much a mantra of Yahweh, is it not?
Poor Chris is freaking out.
Oh, Angie's starting to feel sorry for her husband having no real sports to watch. That's got to be hard for him, because he's way into the sports, isn't he? Especially the turn-in left cars. Let's see here. Brainbug says he missed the more exciting part. Well, you missed the more gross part. I don't know about exciting.
He missed the incest rape.
Yeah, you missed the sister raping.
Always fun.
Shame about that, right? I don't. Yeah. Sorry, poor Chris. I'm just giving you shit, man. It's all right. A lot of folks missing their sports. Yes, that's true. Sorry, I'm getting the giggle in the chat from one side, and it takes a while for it to show up on my screen.
I'm sorry. It's what Amiga that says about your. Just say
Just,
it's
just
so
say, oh, her voice was
it's
great.
fantastic.
Do it again. Wonder Lady says most of the Bible is gross, and she is so right. Chris. Christopher, my friend, you can say that. I cannot. It's funny, though. If you hadn't checked out Christopher on TikTok, you need to make sure and do that.
Yeah, please. Oh fuck! I need to learn how to drop fucking links.
All right, let's see. Ah, whoops. Nope, that's the example of the banner. I know how to do banners, damn it. There we go. All right, so that was 15 we just wrapped, yes? Or that we just launched into anyway. I'm sorry, this whole thing is just so ridiculous. 15. Yes, we were working on 15. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to read and converse with the chat and take care of everybody all at the same time. Mm. All right, so.
I'm making the chat a promise that I need you to hold me to.
Okay, what's that, my love?
I will learn how to drop links between now and the next time you're at a stream that I'm modding.
Ah, okay. You're going to have difficulty doing that on your phone. Just to be honest, I've tried to do that, and it is right difficult.
Okay, that's cool. Well, I can use the other computer.
All right, so 15 is the chapter of espionage and civil war. Mr. Absalom decides that he can probably judge Israel better than his old dad. Which, from the last couple of chapters, I'm starting to think a moldy potato could judge Israel better than dear old Dad David. But unlike a moldy potato, Mr. Absalom starts to gather himself a small force of unwitting insurrectionists. And then goes to his daddy and says, hey, you remember back more than 2 years ago? You know, those two years you wouldn't fucking talk to me because I done killed my brother? You remember back when I was living in Syria? Well, while I was in Syria, I was, I made a vow to God. Your God, our God. I made a very special promise, and it's time for me to go fulfill it. And David says, oh, a very special promise to the God of our fathers. Well, by all means, let me not ask any questions about that. Why don't you just go do whatever you need to do? And Mr. Absalom gears up all of his followers and goes charging off, full tilt boogie into the desert. And takes with him his spies.
Wait, whose spies? I'm sorry.
Absalom's spies.
Oh, okay. So Absalom goes full tilt boogie into the burning ass desert TM with his own spies.
Yes.
Okay, he's not leaving any behind. Okay, sorry. I lost my train of thought.
And once he's well out of shouting and summoning distance of Jerusalem, he gathers together his spies and sends them into the various corners of the land and says, go, disperse ye into every corner of the land. But when you get word from me, I've got a small favor to ask. I want you to mount just a teeny, tiny insurrection and rise up against my father and announce me to be king.
Rainbow
And
teach
be
you read the spy's lines in an Austin Powers voice. Sorry.
and being the good spies that they are, Absalom's spies do exactly what he said. And before you fucking know it, poor King David has a full-blown insurrection on his hands, headed by his beloved son Absalom. Brother killer that he is, nonetheless. Stuttering Chris says, why is the South more religious than the North? I'll be good goddamned if I know. If you figure it out, you tell me. Oh, thank you, Amiga Nuts. That's my good friend and friend of the channel, Amiga Nuts, says this has to be one of the greatest Easters ever. Thanks, great librarian. Thank you, my friend. That really does mean a lot to me. I fucking hate Easter, and this is the first Easter in I don't know how long when I've been able to just do whatever the hell I wanted to without any kind of imperial entanglements. Angie suggests that the difference in religion may be because we lost the war. That's entirely possible. Yeah, Chris has a good presumption about that, and I don't think I'd dispute you. There's also the fact that industrialization hit harder, hit faster, and took hold more quickly further north than it did further south. And industrialization and modernization and primitive Bronze Age superstition-laden god worship do not tend to go well hand in glove. Angie says, Easter is my least favorite too. This is fun. Yeah, well, Easter is... You know what? I'm going to get on my fucking soapbox for a sec. Easter is one of the last remaining religious holidays. I mean, most of the holidays we celebrate with any kind of scope, that any significant number of people celebrate, had religious origins, but they've been largely secularized. Christmas is largely about Santa and not so much about Jesus. Halloween is more about candy and less about fear of the dead or the turning over of the year and hoping to God the sun comes back. New Year's, it's just a shitty version of Halloween. But Easter, as it's currently celebrated, yes, it had, depending on who you talk to, it did or did not have pagan origins. But I mean, let's face it, it's just a shitty Christian holiday. And it always happens on Sunday, so most of the time, unless you're a banker, in which case you have the day off anyway, or work for a church, in which case you don't have the day off anyway, and probably work a longer day. I mean, there's no give a damn about Easter. And for those of us who are nuns, Nones, whether we once were's or have never been's, it's just a shitty religious holiday where the price of candy goes through the roof and all of the supermarkets are crowded and everybody puts lilies everywhere because apparently there's something about a fertility ritual that makes sneezing a good idea.
And we eat ham. because religious freedom over the Jews, even though Jesus.
Yeah, well, I'm not touching that
one.
one.
Fair, fair, fair.
Biblical support by the Baptist. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's true, Brainbug. You got that. And there's violence being glorified. Yeah. Well, let's face it. If you've got violent tendencies, look no further than look no further for justification than the Big Book of War Crimes and Outdated Regulations. Sneeze-gasms. Well, they use this sneezes and orgasms use the same set of muscles. I was a piece of trivia I heard once upon a time. I don't know how much truth there is in that, but based on my experience of both, I can see that that's mostly the case, sort of. Sorry, I have no idea where that came from. I saw the word sneeze-gasms in the chat and had to react. I had to. All right, so y'all, I am so all over the place tonight. I appreciate your patience with me. You've stuck around with me this long, so at least you're enjoying riding the wave of chaos along with me. So, cheers to you. Cheers to us. Clink. And we either scared off or banned all the trolls. Dare I say it out loud?
We scared off at least one.
Not to mention,
actually, I banned one, I hit one.
I have trolls. I am so happy right now. I have made it. Sorry, y'all. Old Junk Shop can get a little excitable over stupid shit. All right. Well, so poor David done lost control of Jerusalem because his son is better at politicking than he. And then, while David, having been pursued by the Levites with the Ark of the Covenant, has abandoned the city to the care of 10 of his concubines, apparently not giving one single solitary flying motherfucking shit what happens to them in the midst of this armed insurrection, it occurs to him that not everybody who's with him is people he knows real good. So he begins to query them. Chris says there is no sneeze-gasm. Yes, there is. I tickle your nose with a feather. Dastardly David in the temple of Dagon, says Brainbug. Yeah. Amiganut says David is a schmuck, and I wholeheartedly agree with him. So David starts interrogating these new people who are with him. And at least one of them says, no, I promise I'm in it for the long haul. I am not a spy sent by your spy-happy son Absalom. And David says, okay, cool. You stick with me then. And then he turns to the Levites. And he said, I see you done brought the big fancy box that God lives inside. And they say, well, of course we did. You're the king. And he says, the big fancy box that God lives inside belongs in Jerusalem. The Levite's response goes unrecorded. Randolph Richardson. I know your name. I've seen you around before, my friend.
No, I don't know.
I don't remember where, but I know your name. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Assuming you come in peace.
Yeah, I think he does. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you do, my friend. I'm sorry. It's been a weird night. All right. So David turns to the Levites and says, "Yes, but the fancy box wherein God lives belongs in Jerusalem." And presumably they don't bother to remind him that if you go by where it's been living longest, the fancy box that God lives inside belongs in the middle of the Sinai wilderness, about 3 days' march yonder way. And he says, "Okay, well, here's the deal. I put my trust in God." That was his mistake. He says, "I put my trust in God. So take the fancy box that God lives inside, hie it back to Jerusalem, and if I see it again, I'll know that it's because God favors me. And if not, eh, my predecessor was abandoned by God. Maybe it's, maybe it's, maybe it's a risk of the job." Brainbug says, "I believe Randolph joined us at the last reading." That's entirely possible. I was slightly inebriated at the last reading. So if I missed anybody who was there, I apologize, and I welcome you once again, my friend. Alrighty. All right, Angie, we may still be going by the time you get back. Who knows? I'm enjoying this. It seems that y'all are too, and I'm willing to run with this for a while. So let's, assuming my computer doesn't do anything stupid, Angie, hopefully we'll be here when you get back.
Her granddaughter is so precious.
Nah. Randolph says the Bible is better read while drunk, and he is right. I'm putting that shit up on the screen. Who knows, if I leave that up there for more than a few seconds, the YouTube might decide to make that into the thumbnail. I know I can change the thumbnail, but I've sort of gotten used to it just picking its own thumbnail, even if half the time it's just me going.
Oh, why did he retract that? I didn't retract that. He retracted it. Oh, on the verge.
And on the verge of incapacitation.
Yeah,
even
there you go.
even better. Oh,
That's the one he wants up.
I think I've decided that when we finally get around to the Song of Solomon, I'm going to get myself a little bottle of absinthe, and that's going to be my tipple while we work our way through the softcore porn of the Old Testament.
The Canticle of Canticles, if you were raised in my tradition.
Indeed. All right. So, old David sends puts the ark in the care of the dice of God back in the city. He's left in charge of his 10 concubines under the assault of his weird son Absalom. And he goes up to Mount, God damn it. Oh, I'm losing my mind. Mount Olivet, the Mount of Olives. Which is Mount is charitable. The Mount of Olives is just this shitty little hill right over the valley outside of Jerusalem, right over the valley of Gehenna, where they throw all their trash.
I got this.
And Hushai, the Archite, comes out to him. And David says, "You can't stay here. I've already got more mouths than I can feed." And Hushai the Archite says, "But I'm on your side." And David says, "I've got a better way you can be on my side. Go make my friends happy. Go hang out back in Jerusalem with my ungrateful son Absalom." And by the way, anything you learn of his plans, come let me know. And Hushai the Archite says, "Oh, good! Double agent games! That sounds like fun!" And he sets off to do it. I'm with Paul. What were these folks toking when they wrote this? Because it had to have been some fine shit. Oh, we're talking about absinthe in the chat. Oh, I opened a can of worms there, didn't I? Is absinthe as sweet as a Manischewitz Concord grape? It is as sweet, but it's sweet in a different way. It's both sweet
like black licorice.
and bitter at the same time. It kind of tastes like black licorice, except enough different to where those of us who have a reaction to black licorice can still enjoy absinthe. If that makes any sense, which I know it did not. I do have to quickly correct Julie LaVoice in the chat. It has wormwood now.
Oh, really?
It did not for a long, long time, but as of like the early 2000s or the very late 90s, and I want to say the early 2000s, that regulation lapsed. And of course, the first person to jump on board with that was Marilyn Manson, who released a specialty line of absinthe called Mansynth.
Of course he did.
That went by the original formula. Now, you still can't have higher than an X amount of thujone in it. Thujone being the chemical derived from wormwood that gives it its purportedly hallucinogenic properties.
Oh, God, you're so smart. It's so hot.
Let's see. Oh, wow, the chat goes blurring by. I'm so happy right now. There's so many people here, and they're all talking so much. I love it. Randolph Richardson says, "I just tried to invite a few people to listen to this awesome reading." Thank you, my friend. Fantastic. Spread the word. Absolutely. Feel free. Feel free. Mushrooms is much more likely. Yeah. Some of this stuff, people have had to have been on some kind of consciousness-altering substance to get down on the page. Brainbug says, like Jägermeister? Jägermeister, at least in my limited experience, has many more spices as a taste to it. Absinthe is a much cleaner.
I got this. Jägermeister tastes like college. Absinthe tastes like adulthood.
I like it. Ah. We got... Angie says, do they sell that in liquor stores? They do here. I don't know if they do in every state, but they do here in Tennessee. Randolph Richardson says, the facts have a tendency to set us free. Agreed. Stuttering Chris is quoting Marilyn Manson. I am not a slave to a God that doesn't exist. Yes. Well done, my friend. Well done. Nevermore Tavern is in the house. Jay, welcome, my friend. I had such a great time last night. I've plugged your channel and that interview several times today. I had a great time. Thank you so much for hosting me. Inquisitive Quandary in the house.
IQ, what up?
IQ says he was told there was cake. I don't know who told you that. Maybe you heard it on Discord.
I'll make cake.
Oh, 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 oh.
That's
Sorry.
A joke from earlier.
That was a deep cut from earlier in the stream when we were overrun with trolls. Let's see here. 3 cheers for Stuttering Chris. Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed.
Always.
All right. Man. We got so many people here. I am so happy right now.
Well, you know what that means?
It means I got to keep going, doesn't it?
Going.
We got people new coming in, which means we got to keep going, which means I got to change my banner. Checkbox change. Checkbox delete. Create. Edit. This is me at the top of my technological game. I'm trying to learn OPS, but I'm not good at it yet. Oh, thank you, Chris. Everybody liked the stream. Yes, please, if you would. I fight for the likes. I really do. I'll be honest. It took me a long time to really come to understand that like made any difference. When I first really started interacting with YouTube, the only thing I understood like to be good for was creating a private videos you've liked playlist. And so I only clicked like on videos I wanted on that playlist to listen to in my car. And I feel bad about that now in retrospect. Because I was raised Protestant, and the Catholics do not have a monopoly on the guilt.
No, we don't.
But yes, and now I've gone the other direction. If it's somebody whose content I regularly enjoy or a channel I'm subscribed to, I just automatically click the like as soon as I see the notification, which sometimes means I can't figure out why I can't like something. And then I figure out, oh yeah, it's because you clicked like on it 3 days ago. Old Junk Shop's smart. I went to college.
We both did.
All right, let's see what we're going. Nevermore says, keep it up. I'm out of work in 12 minutes. Need something to listen to. Yes.
Yes.
Angie says, keep going. The kids are in bed. I'm free. Woo! Yes. Yeah, IQ points out that both Knock and R and Raw are live. Yeah, trust me. When I scheduled this, I did not realize how busy a night it was on YouTube. But let's face it. We're all on lockdown. Everybody's inside and online. So we just got to make our choices. I came over here from X-Cult Baby stream. I got a notification from myself that I was supposed to be about to go live. It is what life is.
Yeah, no hard feelings. Just like the damn thing before you leave.
Yeah. Stuttering Chris says that my understanding is that likes and comments help your channel. This is true. And Aaron has Mama Atheist on, says Brainbug. Oh man. Double-barreled some of the best content creators on the internet. God damn.
If I wasn't your wife, I'd be over there.
Oh. Thank you, my love.
I love you.
And Angie says the choice is me every time. Angie, you're the best. Thank you so much. All right. Well, I've got my fresh cigarette. I've got my fresh glass of wine. I've got my fresh banner. What say we turn to the 16th chapter and see what new horrors the good book, the big book of war crimes and outdated regulations, I'm never going to get tired of that, y'all, has in store for us. Oh God, do we have to? Well, you don't have to, but I surely would appreciate it. Oh, Angie, thank you so much. All right. 16. This print gets smaller every chapter. I can't imagine why that would be the case. La 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 la.
I couldn't even read it right now. You're doing real well.
And when David was a little past the top of the hill, behold, Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, met him, with a couple of asses saddled, and upon them 200 loaves of bread, and 100 bunches of raisins, and 100 of summer fruits, and a bottle of wine. And the king said unto Ziba, What meanest thou by these? And Ziba said, The asses be for the king's household to ride on, and the bread and summer fruit for the young men to eat, and the wine that such as be faint in the wilderness may drink. And the king said, Where is thy master's son? And Ziba said unto the king, Behold, he abideth at Jerusalem, for he said, Today shall the house of Israel restore me the kingdom of my father. Then said the king to Ziba, Behold, thine are all that pertained unto Mephibosheth. And Ziba said, I humbly beseech thee that I might find grace in thy sight, my lord, O king. And when King David came to Baharim, behold, then came out a man of the family of the house of Saul, whose name was Shimei, the son of Gerah. He came forth, and cursed still as he came, and he cast stones at David, and at all the servants of King David, and all the people and all the mighty men were on his right hand and on his left. And thus said Shimei when he cursed, come out, thou bloody man, and thou man of Belial. The Lord hath returned upon thee all the blood of the house of Saul, in whose stead thou hast reigned, and the Lord hath delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom thy son. And behold, thou art taken in thy mischief, because thou art a bloody man. Then said Abishai the son of Zeruiah unto the king, Why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Let me go over, I pray thee, and take off his head. And the king said, What have I done to you, O ye sons of Zeruiah? Let him curse, because the Lord hath said unto him, Curse David. Who shall then say, Wherefore hast thou done so? And David said to Abishai and to his servants, Behold, my son, which came forth of my bowels, seeketh my life. How much more so may this Benjamite do it? Let him alone, and let him curse, for the Lord hath bidden him. It may be that the Lord will look on mine affliction, and that the Lord will requite me good for his cursing this day. And as David and his men went by the way, Shimei went along the hill's side over against him, and cursed as he went, and threw stones at him, and cast dust. And the king and all the people that were with him came weary, and refreshed themselves there. And Absalom and all the people...
No, you're fine.
No, it's a strange sentence. And Absalom and all the people, the men of Israel, came to Jerusalem, and Ahithophel with him. And it came to pass, when Hushai the Archite, David's friend, was come to Absalom, that Hushai said unto Absalom, God save the king, God save the king. And Absalom said to Hushai, Is this thy kindness to thy friend? Why wentest thou not with thy friend? And Hushai said unto Absalom, Nay, but whom the Lord and this people and all the men of Israel choose, his will I be, and with him will I abide. And again, whom should I serve? Should I not serve in the presence of his son, as I have served in thy father's presence, so will I be in thy presence. Then said Absalom to Ahithophel, Give counsel among you what we shall do. And Ahithophel said unto Absalom, Go in unto thy father's concubines. Oh, good grief.
Ugh. That's not good.
Let me try that again, starting from verse 21. And Ahithophel said unto Absalom, Go in unto thy father's concubines, which he hath left to keep the house. And all Israel shall hear that thou art abhorred of thy father. Then shall the hands of all that are with thee be strong. And they spread Absalom a tent upon the top of the house. And Absalom went in unto his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel.
That's not good.
And the counsel of Ahithophel, which he counseled in those days, was as if a man had inquired at the oracle of God. So was all counsel of Ahithophel, both with David and with Absalom. And there we have 2 Samuel 16.
Accused driving, so he's in active work mode. That was weird.
That took a couple of hard turns along the way that I was not expecting.
Yeah, I don't remember that one at all.
Let me see. IQ's driving. Okay, drive safe, my friend. Doodly doodly doo doo doo. Sorry, scrolling back up, catching up with the chat.
Oh, I lost track too.
Randolph says, Junk Shop Library, you sure that's not just the alcohol talking about the print getting smaller? Yep, it's the same teeny tiny size all the way through. The alcohol is talking, though. IQ wants me to send Angie a carton of smokes and some rum in the meantime.
No, that was actually directed at me.
At you, okay.
I will, but I just
Sorry.
got furloughed.
I didn't scroll back up far enough, apparently. All right, let's see.
Tell her I totally will. I just got furloughed.
Yeah,
I can't do it right now.
Angie, she says she totally will, but she got furloughed, so you know how it is. Oh, Stuttering Chris popped into R and Ra's stream featuring Mama Atheist, gave a quick hello, and came back here because he's having more fun here. Christopher, you don't know how that warms the cockles of my cold, cold heart. Thank you, my friend. Angie loves my pronunciations. I've heard you say that a few times, Angie, and it really does tickle me to death every time. Thank you. I know you love it when I have to say smite. IQ says Vicemail is the real super chat. Maybe he meant voicemail, but I kind of like Vicemail. Send me your Vicemails anytime. JunkshopLibrary at gmail.com. Brainbug says, don't you miss the good old days when you traveled the land with all of your people? Yes, back in the day. Back in the day. Angie says, smite it! Smite it! Maybe that's what we'll call the fans of the Junk Shop Library channel. Instead of library patrons, we'll call them the Smiters. I don't know if that'll catch on, but I think
I'm
it'd be
hilarious.
funny.
That would be funny. I'd take it.
All right, let's see. Well, that chapter was
What does
kind
that
of
mean?
odd, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was kind of busy to be no busier than it was.
A lot
All
of
right,
words.
so when we started, now David's still on top of Mount Olivet, which again, Mount is so generous for the Mount of Olives. It really just is a shitty little hill that's next to Jerusalem and is only called a mountain because it's the highest point around. Which is not saying a lot because it's the Judean desert, which is flat as a motherfucking pancake for days walk at a time. So he's camped out on top of the hill in fear of his life because of his son Absalom, who has taken over his precious holy city. And here comes this dude Ziba with a small banquet and a bunch of donkeys. And David says, what for? Ziba says, for you, you big dumb stupid. You think I dragged all this shit all this way just for fun? And she says, hashtag the smiters. Jenny Morgan says, all right, what's going on here? A bunch of sacrilege? You bet your sweet bippy. Jenny Morgan, I don't know you, but you are welcome. Hello, hello. I don't think I know you. Maybe I know you. Who knows? Please forgive me if I forget what I should have remembered or remember that which I should have forgot. I have been partaking fairly heavily of the fruit of the vine and of the word of the Lord this evening, and both of those will fuck with your brain.
I just misspelled Jenny Morgan's name. I'm sorry.
All right. So Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, comes up and says, this is all for you, you dumb son of a bitch. And the king says, hey, Absalom's still ruling over my town? Ziba says, yup. And David says, okay, well, I'm going for a walk. And he goes for a walk. And the whole fucking cavalcade of them goes for a walk. And eventually they come to this place, Bahurim. And all of a sudden, when they get to Bahurim, some crazy motherfucker comes out and starts throwing rocks at them and calling names and saying, I was a follower of Saul. I was a fan of the kingdom of Israel before it was cool. David, you whippersnapper. I throw rocks at you. I fart in your general direction. And one of David's servants says, you know what? This impudent old fuck, I'm going to go down and I'm going to cut his head off. And David says, don't you fucking dare. Maybe the name calling and rock throwing is word from the Lord. And the servant says, okay, makes as much sense as any other damn thing the Lord has said over the course of the past who knows how many years. And he leaves off. And they continue to walk. And the old rock throwing man of Bahurim continues to walk along the embankment above them and throw rocks and dust at them and call names and say, you're a bad man's. And David just lets him get away with it. Because David ain't sweating it, apparently. I guess if your eldest son is in open revolt against you after having murdered your second youngest son for having raped one of your daughters, you kind of become into a sticks and stones kind of situation. You ain't sweating too much being called rude names by some old fuck who swore allegiance to your papa way back in the day. Happy Easter, yo. Happy Rock and Roll Day, Jenny Morgan's. Oh, that's amazing. How have I never heard that before?
Oh, haven't
That's
either.
fucking
That's
awesome. Let's Let's see. Scroll back up. It was. Yeah, Julie Lavoie says it was library patrons, but that was before I actually had a Patreon patron. So now I have to come up with another name for the fans because I've got the amazing Paul over on Patreon.
And Andy
So
already picked it.
we are now y'all are now the Smiters.
Yeah.
The Smiters. So let it be written. So let it be done. Hashtag the Smiters. Yeah. Vive el vino. Indeed. Indeed. Brainbug's autocorrect has gone haywire. Well, welcome to a beautiful world of autocorrect, my friend. Makes as much sense as anything the Lord has said so far. Well, you ain't wrong, Mr. Randolph. You ain't wrong in the slightest.
What is with this guy, though?
Which guy? We got so many guys up in the air at this point. It's fucking raining men.
It's raining men, hallelujah, and it's just a total sausage fest. But what is with this guy who was like, I was into Yahweh before it was cool. Fuck you, David. Fuck you.
Oh, yes.
What's with that
Mr. Shimei, the son of Gerah,
Yeah.
who cast stones at David and all the servants of King David.
I don't remember him from church.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't remember the story of the man who threw rocks at King David and got away with it because David thought it was probably a good idea because maybe God was talking to him? Strange how that story didn't filter down into Sunday school and church, isn't it? Who would have ever thought that we weren't singing songs about Shimei, the son of Gerah? It should have been David and Adam and Eve and Jesus and Bathsheba and Samson and Shimei, the son of Gerah. We should all have his name just tripping lightly off our tongue as though doing the light fantastic. Jenny Morgan says, oh my. Well, welcome to the Smiters, Jenny Morgan, and as to where exactly you prefer to be smitten, I leave that to you and your God.
Related to R and Raw.
Or not.
I mean, we're not. Jenny Morgan wants to know if it says we're related to R and Raw, but I don't know if she means us or the Bible character.
Yeah.
We're not, but
no, I wish.
I wish.
Can you imagine if we had, if R and Ra was the crazy drunk uncle in your family reunion? Please. Can you imagine how awesome that would be? Please. You can buy that with money nor song.
I would have actually learned evolution at a younger age, like at an appropriate age. Sorry, I'm shouting over your screen.
That's all right, sweetheart.
I cannot help it right now.
It's
Easter.
It's Easter Sunday. It's a crazy, crazy time. Clink.
Clink. Yeah.
Hey,
sorry.
Do you mind being on stream?
I don't.
Okay. This, for those of you who don't know, this is my beautiful wife, Julie. This is Julie Lavoie. You should subscribe to her channel as well. She does a fantastic series called Wine and Reason, where she excoriates current events from a modern humanist, feminist standpoint.
I do.
So, I take the Old Testament, she takes the modern age. It's fantastic.
It is. Thank you. It's a great way to put it. Thank you. You're brilliant. I do want to make it very clear, though. Feminist, yes. TERFs, no. If you're a TERF, fuck off. You're not welcome on my channel. You're not welcome in my chat. I don't give a fuck about you. All right?
Agreed.
Women are women. I don't care what junk they were born with. Done. Okay. Love you. Continue.
I love you too.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to be able to be quiet. I'm trying over here to be quiet.
You have striven valiantly, my dearest darling.
For me, yes. Okay. Ooh, stormy.
Thunder.
Thunder. Oh, Yahweh's angry.
It's because I blasphemed.
Yes. Yahweh hear Zeus, we pissed somebody off. That's fantastic.
You've been hearing the glorious sound of the rushing waters in the background all this time. That's just because of my fish tank. But apparently now we've got actual, honest to gracious thunder.
Thank you.
It's been thundering all along.
Oh, Randolph said something really cool.
Atheist Frontier! That's where I know your name from. Yes, okay, sorry. Sorry, brain fart. Thank you, Randolph. Thank you. Fantastic. Okay. Sorry, it's been a long few days, and I've had a long few glasses, and I'm going to stick with that excuse and then roll on down the line.
Okay, wow, I'm so honored.
Let's see here.
Oh, Minnesota.
Brainbug says he has often found himself wanting to throw rocks at David as well. Yeah, agreed. Especially more the last few 10 inches of snow? In Minnesota. Oh my God, Minnesota. No wonder.
For crying on the lawn. I hope I didn't offend you, Jenny, but that's just...
It's like 75 fucking degrees here in Tennessee. It's nobody. But remember, climate change is a Chinese hoax. God, we live in a peculiar little world, don't we? Ugh. Alrighty, so...
Oh, why did you retract that? That was lovely.
Sorry, I know I'm all over the place, y'all. I don't know why I keep apologizing. It's not one of my finer traits.
Oh, he was a stick.
Okay, let me make sure I didn't miss anything truly interesting and spectacular out of 16.
Check Randolph Richardson, sorry, pardon me. Most recent.
Oh, yeah.
Post.
Oh, well, gosh. Yeah. Thank you so much, Randolph. I remember you either tweeted me or emailed me. You communicated with me in some way when you added me to the list, and I was just flattered beyond belief. I didn't. I'm sorry if I didn't respond to that in time. I don't remember whether I did or not. It's a fantastic list you've got going on there.
Who'd have guessed that the world would someday be run by Monty Python, said Jenny Morgan.
Twitter. Okay, it was Twitter. Yeah. This world. Yes, the world is indeed. Let's see.
Okay, go on with the thing, sorry.
Yeah. No, it's fine. I'm just trying to make sure I didn't. Who am I kidding? I've completely lost the thread of Holy Writ at this point because I've been just bouncing around all over the place. Oh, yes, the Shimei, the son of... Who's he, what's it? Yeah, David said it was okay to have rocks thrown at him because maybe God told him it was okay. And then... Oh, Absalom, back in the city of Jerusalem. Hushai, the the spy. I don't know why I have decided that this is a thing now, but Hushai, the spy.
Totally, well, now it's a thing.
It's funny because I like it, and I like it because it's funny. Says no, it's all right. I know what I'm doing, and you have no cause to be concerned. I serve in Jerusalem, as did my father before me, as did your father before him. And then we find fucking Ahithophel, hell. I hate these names.
Can I see it?
It's Ahithophel. I just stumbled over my face because old Junk Shop has been partaking of the fruit of the vine.
The work of human hands. Sorry, it's part of the mass. I can't. That programming does not fucking go away. It stays in there. It's ugh. Okay.
So, just when we thought we were entering into a section of the Bible that seemed to make sense, and that seemed to be, like, at least borderline relatable, no. Absalom, the son of David, turns to Ahithophel and says, "Why don't you go in unto my father's concubines in a tent on the roof in the sight of all Israel?" And what's the logic behind this? You remember the concubines, yes? Those 10 women, not his wives, that David just sort of left in charge of the city when his sorry ass ran out of there and hied himself up the mountain next door. There's some thunderous timing.
Yeah, Brainbug just said, more thunder rolling tonight.
Yeah.
Angie wants me to come back over here with us. I don't know what that means. Yes, I will.
Probably girls' night.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Sorry, Angie. We've just had weird scheduling the last little bit. There was something that happened. I don't remember what it was.
I was there for a minute. I was there for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Or
Oh, because I had Jay's show. Yeah. Okay,
No,
that was only
I had a
yesterday.
game.
I forgot. Yeah.
I had a game, yeah. But time has no meaning.
Time has no meaning.
So it's a construct like Tinder.
It's a social construct. Time. What is time? The French squander it. The Swiss manufacture it. Americans say it is money.
Ooh.
Anybody?
No, Peter Lorre. I just can't remember from what.
Well.
Oh, Casablanca.
Nope.
Damn it. M? No, not
No.
M.
We just named Peter Lorre movies
Damn it,
now.
just name him Peter Lorre movies. Damn it. I don't know. I just love Peter Lorre. It's fucking beautiful.
Forgive them, Bob,
Maltese
for they
Falcon.
know not what they do.
Seriously? Maltese Falcon? Maybe?
No.
God, it was even in the Maltese Falcon.
Oh, yes, he was.
Oh, good.
Will you please put your hands in your pockets? I intend to search your offices. Yeah, he was in the Maltese Falcon.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you. Haven't seen him since high school, so I'm doing pretty good. That was over 20 years ago.
Jenny Morgan says, "Is this the drunk Bible show?" Sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes, yes,
On
it is.
occasion. Normally not, but sometimes.
Normally not, but sometimes, and it's 1:45 on no particular Sunday, so hi. Amiga Nuts, reaching back. Amiga Nuts says, "I say just call all the characters Bob from now on."
And Bob saideth unto Bob.
Yeah. And Jenny
Verily.
Morgan says, "Forgive them, Bob, for they know not what they do."
Bob, why hast thou forsaken me?
Oh, my stars and garters. We've been going 2.25 hours.
Oh, good Lord.
I'm amazed my poor computer has held out this long.
Well, and we have more people watching than we did at the beginning.
Uh,
And also, please hit the like button.
We do indeed, yes. Hit that like if you don't mind. I can't tell whether you have or not because I'm in StreamYard, but I would greatly appreciate it if you would do so. I understand this is not the most representative episode of the show.
It might be the most fun, though.
But it's certainly been one of the more entertaining for me. So if you don't mind just taking, 0.25 seconds out of your day and hitting that thumbs up button, I would appreciate it greatly.
Nevermore Tavern
Clink.
said, as of 2 hours and such, he said, "Shh, that's nothing."
Oh, you ain't wrong. I don't know what I'm doing complaining about that when Amiga Nuts is in the chat.
Right?
How long did you say you'd been on a stream, my friend? Like 9 hours or some shit? God in heaven.
And what about Nevermore, though? He does long-ass ones, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jay.
Sorry, Jay. I didn't mean to leave you out.
What about Bob? Indeed, Angie. What about Bob? I love you. Bill Murray movies are amazing.
I beg your pardon.
Oh, you're fine.
12.5 hours was Jay's top. Jesus God on a
Holy
slice of
shit.
toast. I can't even imagine. My throat hurts just thinking about it.
Was that for like charity?
Yeah, was that for charity?
I want
Or
to
did you just
know.
get carried away? Because honestly, I'm thinking one more chapter and then we'll chat for a while and talk and catch up and then we'll probably wrap it. Because I don't know what time it is where y'all are, but it's almost 11 here.
To be honest, it was over 6 different streams. LOL.
Oh, okay. Well,
That's fair.
that's fair. That doesn't hardly count.
Oh no, it's okay, but it is fair.
No, it counts. But my goodness, that's a lot of. Whoo, da lolly, golly, what a day.
Oh my goodness! Now when I type in Nevermore, Tavern automatically comes up in my predictive text.
Ah, mine
So
does
there
the
you
same
go.
thing.
There you
Mine
go,
does the
Jay.
same thing.
Yeah.
In fact, when I type never, it automatically autocorrects to nevermore, and then the next word autocorrect wants me to do is tavern. So
Nice, nice.
and several channels have the same sort of effect on my autocorrect. So
What my husband's
I,
name is.
I love life.
At Jenny Morgan, JunkshopLibrary is the same.
Oh yeah, Jenny. My name is Junk Shop. I go by Junk Shop. There's a whole. Essentially, my father is a religious professional, and I don't want all of this kind of thing that I do ever to get back to him and blow up in his face. At least not until he retires. So, I'm Junk Shop. You feel free to address me as such, and hi, Junk Shop. Thank you. Hi, Jenny. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, he's a PK, so we gotta be careful because my father-in-law.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can twist it.
No, it's all right. I just want to say really quickly, my father-in-law. Oh, here we go. While a devoutly religious man, is an absolutely lovely and kind and beautiful person, and he really, I mean, he's a true blue believer. He is not shilling anyone or anything like that. He's a very humble guy. He doesn't get paid well for what he does, and we don't want to hurt his ability to make a living for as long as he wishes to. So, Junk Shop. And, after Dad retires, we may or may not, depending on how you feel about it, tell you what his real name is. Okay, done. Sorry.
It's all right. Very well said, my love.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. 6 different streams, 4 hours. Love you, Jay. Yes, we do. Jenny Morgan says, a few folks here know me. Yes, and I look forward to getting to know you. If you stick around. I always love getting to know new people. And it's easier than ever over the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And Angie says, I know Jenny, and has the heart eyes emoji, which is about as high a recommendation as I could ever hope for. So,
Oh, yeah.
any friend of Angie's is a friend of mine.
Yep, and mine.
All right. What if aliens came to... Chris, you are stirring the pot, my friend. What if aliens came to Earth and said, we are Christians? I would wonder why God had to send himself to die as a sacrifice to himself to serve as a loophole for rules he made for himself for no discernible reason except to himself on more than one planet.
As would I. That was exactly my thought.
Megan says, Jenny is good at optics and is a superstar on Sci-Strike Movie Night. I know Movie Night by reputation. I've never been over there. It's just I am a late arrival to so much of our little world of the internet, and
Me too.
I'm playing some pretty hard catch up while still trying to create my own little bubble and still trying to make sure that that bubble interacts with all of the other bubbles. And that's as many times as I have ever said the word bubble in one sentence.
I think that whole talking part may have started already.
That's probably a good call.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying.
I don't know that we've got another chapter in us, honestly, because I'm kind of rambling all over the place.
Oh no! You're
So,
lovely.
yeah.
You're lovely. I didn't mean that.
No, I
just
get
want
you.
to-
I get you. But we're pushing the 2.5 hour mark, by God, and
I just thought we'd see what the people wanted to say.
yeah.
Talk about.
And what do y'all want to talk about? Because I've got so many fantastic people here, and it's been such a busy night. And quite honestly, I've looked at a whole lot
Talk movies.
of 6-point type this evening.
Oh, narrow it down.
Talk movies. Oh, Jay, now you're just yanking my chain.
Ugh. No, I would love to, but you gotta give me a genre. Something.
Oh my goodness, I'd have to start over for another 2.5 hours if I was just gonna freeform talk movies. And I think you know that because you got a taste of me talking movies last night, my friend.
Yeah.
You see the bookshelf and the minion and the God only knows what all else is peeking over my damn shoulder. The mating behaviors of Australian quokkas. I do not know the quokka. I feel I've seen footage of quokkas on Animal Planet documentaries, but I couldn't even draw a mental sketch for my own edification.
Ooh,
Angie says it is Granny's bedtime. Oh,
love you,
well,
Angie.
you do what's good for you. We'll be wrapping up before too long anyway. I don't think you're gonna miss too much.
Yeah, love you, Angie.
Oh,
Good
the
night.
other direction.
Sorry. Love you. I totally did that. That was
Good night, Angie. Thank you for coming
Good
by.
night. You're awesome.
You're amazing.
Yeah, and okay, so about the Kawaka thing. Yeah, this is about how amazing.
Oh, Amiga Nuts want to know how Bob gets his bum kicked. Well, you know what, Mr. Amiga Nuts? You're just going to have to tune in next time.
I was going to talk about Pandia, but that's really boring, so continue.
Yeah, y'all, I think we're going to wrap it up here pretty soon. We're looking at 2.5 hours, which is by almost 15 minutes the longest stream the library's ever done. And is the 12th, which means some of my longest streams have already happened this early in the month, and you only get 20 hours free on StreamYard per month. So I'm going to have to ration myself a little bit the next little while.
Why are you on StreamYard right now?
Because that's the streaming services I've been able to make use.
Oh,
I've been
I'm
able
sorry.
to make work.
I thought... Oh, okay, never mind. Pardon me.
It's all right.
I'm a writer. Technical shit's not my thing.
It's all right, sweetheart.
Even though I'm a tech writer.
It's all right, sweetheart.
I know.
All right. Well, thank you everybody so much for joining me. Thank you, Jenny, for joining us. I hope you come back and see us again.
We just sent Amiga Nuts into hysterics.
Thank you, Jay, for coming by and for hosting me last night. I had a terrific time, and I look forward to that again. Randolph, thank you for joining us out of the middle of nowhere and for giving us for giving both Julie and myself slots on your amazing catalog of content creators. Stuttering Chris, thank you so much for coming by. You know, Chris, how much you are always welcome. I know I don't always stream at the best times for you, but and Angie, of course, everybody take care. I'm sorry, I'm trying to run down everybody who's in the chat, but we got so many folks in the chat, and I don't want anybody to feel left out. Scroll. Amiga Nuts, of course. Silly me, how could I forget Amiga Nuts? My shill extraordinaire. My goodness, wow. I have been blasting through we've all been blasting through the chat today, haven't we? It's been busy. Brain Bug, who took a little time away from the hive to hang out with us here this evening. Anybody who I am skipping over, please feel free to call me out in the chat. I'm going to scroll back to the bottom here in 1 second.
Yay, Jenny sub. Thank
Do,
you.
do, 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 do. Why do I sing? This is how I scare people away.
No, you're both lovely.
It has been so much fun, y'all. It really and truly has. Oh, yes, IQ. Of course, IQ, who is driving and so has been in lurk mode for a while. Thank you for joining us, my friend. And that's as far as the chat will let me scroll up. That's all right. Let's see. Randolph Richardson says, I'm glad you're here. Oh, thank you. You're doing what you're doing for atheism in the world. Thank you, my friend. That's an amazing, amazing compliment. And I truly do thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's I'm not gonna cry on the stream. I'm not gonna do it.
I am.
Oh, Jenny Morgan has subscribed to us. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the Smiters, as we have decided tonight that fans of the library are called. Thank you, Angie, for the inspiration there. Virtual hug. Thank you, Angie Dell. Thank you so much. Everybody. TTFN from the Nevermore Tavern. Thank you, Jay. TTFN to you as well.
Love to Raven.
Yes, absolutely. Love to you and Raven, Jay. Thank you. And Amiga Nuts, of course, must chill as he does because he is the best at what he does. You must all go to subscribe to Mama Atheist, to Nervardia, to Jen's Little Corner, to the amazing people that Amiga Nuts shills for. And, of course, if you're not subscribed yet, to me as well. And my darling wife, Julie, has a plug she wishes to plug. What is the plug you wish to plug, my love?
No, I just realized something.
What is that?
You know who's not here?
Who's not here?
Dave.
Dave's not here.
Dave must sleep.
Dave sleeps!
Dave sleeps! We figured it out.
Illuminati confirmed!
Oh my gosh. Yes, Critical Cripple does sleep on occasion because he's always here.
I knew it was a little bit hit or miss that anybody from the UK was going to hit us here tonight, given how late I was going live. But oh my God, you guys were here. The 8 of you people who were watching, you were here on the night it was confirmed. Critical Cripple sleeps. It's amazing. Next week, we have to find out what happened to those socks in the dryer. And Randolph points out that if we keep yelling like that, we might wake Dave up, even all the way over on the other side of the Atlantic.
That is fair.
That is true. All right, well, y'all, we've been going for over 2.5 hours, and I've been saying goodbye for 15 minutes. So, everybody take care. Be safe. Stand against hate. And until next time, this has been Junk Shop Library and Julie LaVoice from Wine and Reason. And in the truly immortal words of LeVar Burton, we'll see you next time.